Video, so that'll turn the cameras on.
Great. Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome. And then you'll see me. I'll be joining you here just to monitor progress.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you. One thing we did notice last time is that we were getting comments from our members of the public that the sound was kind of iffy.
So last Friday, there was a technician here for like 10 hours. So
that should be
I
all.
think this is the first meeting since.
Okay. Awesome.
So
Sounds
we'll see
good.
how it goes.
Yes, we'll ask him to test.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
I sent an invite already. I already put something in with that.
Oh no.
It's okay. I got your invite. It's
Okay.
better than
Oh,
mine.
no, yeah. Well, you have,
I was like, quickly get it in.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
That's
it's going.
awesome.
I have to do it right on the spot, or
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. My brain's so scrambled.
You and me both. Post. It's not good.
Yeah.
Good question. I don't know. I got an email today that said, "Are you prepared?" Question mark. And I was like, "Of course not." Like,
For a
of
month.
course the answer is no.
Now we're just going to the deliberations starts today and tomorrow. It's a civil. And also the C stands for complicated too.
What's that? I think it's fine because the
Okay, I'd like to call to order the Sustainability Commission meeting of October 21st, 2025. Will staff roll call?
Vice Chair Alexander,
Present.
Commissioner Barrett,
Present.
Commissioner Boyd is with us on Zoom, I believe.
Yes, present.
Hi, Commissioner. What time is
Hello. 4:30 in the morning.
it? Oh, my goodness. Thank you for your service, Commissioner.
Commissioner,
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Commissioner Dierdine,
We have regrets.
Commissioner Frick, Chair Rothner,
Present.
and Commissioner Walker.
Thanks, everyone. Welcome to the meeting. Let's move into acceptance of the agenda. Did anyone have any questions?
So I will provide the comment that our presentation from the Active Transportation Committee, we will have that on our next meeting. So that will be bumped to November this evening. So we'll have a pretty breezy meeting tonight.
Presentation. Sure.
Mhm.
And no one has any other comments on the agenda. Okay, let's move to public comments. This is the time for members of the public to address the commission on agenda items and items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. The commission values your comments, but if you cannot take action on the items not listed on the posted agenda, 3 minutes are allowed for each speaker. Do we have any members of the public who would like to speak?
OP, where do you want me?
Anywhere you'd like to be.
Right here?
Sure, that's great.
You sure?
This is our first public comment in a new room, so.
Okay, I was wondering, it
Yes.
feels so odd not having the lopsided round table.
I know.
The hours we've spent around that.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to Long.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go. Paul Henderson, Upper West Side, dedicated city volunteer. Question regarding, I'm not sure who on the commission may or may not still be carrying the torch or the papers for the smoke-free ordinances, any of them or all of them for the city. Over the years, so many people have stuck their fingers in the cake. I suspect it's not recognizable anymore, and they'd just like to find out what it looks like. So I don't know who's on that. I know you can't answer that now, but maybe you can get back to me on that, LP. And then also some of the same question regarding water, because there's a lot of major things going on with water in our city and in our region right now, and a lot of it's not on people's radars, and they're very serious and affect all of us. So that's basically what I came to ask about. And since I've got 3 minutes, I was wondering, are there any programs for like HOAs or whatever for your tree program? Or is that something that's still being worked out, the details on that? There I go, asking questions again that I can't get answers to. So those are the 3 things. Thanks.
Thanks, Bob.
Oh, I forgot to say, it's enough to make it go bananas. I missed an opportunity.
You still got a couple minutes.
Darn.
We will cover trees on the agenda today.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Any other public comments? Okay, thank you for that. On to me, chair comments. I don't have many comments, just one general comment on the waste reduction subcommittee. Commissioner Boyd is in the reins of that, and so we'll be working together on on that. And that's about it. So moving to the subcommittee reports. First one is the standard subcommittee on waste reduction, and not to throw you on the hot seat right away, Aaron, because I know you're traveling, but just really quick, we did have a good meeting.
So I'm sorry, Bernard. You're a little bit hard to hear. Were you saying you're ready for me?
Sorry, if you want to take this, go for it.
I thought you were. I don't actually have much to say other than I just want to say thanks to Chair Rotner for his great work on the commission or on the committee, and I'm really looking forward to taking over. And I guess the only sort of update I would add is that we're going to be meeting with Desert Water is going to be added to the agenda. I believe quarterly at this point. So just to keep a heads up, I believe that's happening.
And I believe staff is working, Aaron, I just learned this, with, I don't know if it's for the full commission or for the waste commission for GWA to come and give us a presentation.
Probably both would make sense. I think a presentation to the full, and Bernard, just so you know, we also got feedback from Kendall that for some reason you're not very audible. So I might ask that you either, yeah. We will continue to test. We're working on where the dead zones are. But maybe it's because you're right into the mic. I'm not sure. But we'll test some things out. Thank you. Sorry. When our conversations with staff, having perhaps a presentation to the full commission in advance of their quarterly attendance to Scour around the time of that, so that way the full commission can get updates and then we can dive deeper on topics in the Scour meeting. But I will defer to the commissioners on how they would like to handle that. But that was the suggestion from staff.
Yeah, it's a good start. Also, just one other item that we discussed with regards to large events, working with Parks and Rec. I had met with Nick and we brought up the conversation of kind of working a little more closely with PSCS and do some trials on improving waste bins and deposits and cross-contamination, improving that. And that can carry on to other events as well. I think we should see, probably something out potentially a longer term event. We haven't really talked about that, but it was on my list to reach out to Nick and maybe get him to
That's kind of
meeting with PSPS and we can kind of troubleshoot that. But other than that, that was just the update. Also reports in our agenda packet. So the next meeting was standing subcommittee on climate action, and not much to report there. We had a short meeting as staff was, LP was out on vacation and a lot of topics moving to meetings.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Next meeting, Commissioner Cohn was unable to get in as well, so this is probably a good pause there. So, Anita and I had a next meeting.
I'm glad.
Yeah, but so not much to report there. Let's see. Next is an ad hoc subcommittee on bird strikes, which is Commissioner Frick. I don't know if anyone else.
Well, I believe we discussed last time, now that we're in the fall season, good next step is meeting with Ben to talk about implementing the education recommendations that the ad hoc committee had. So, Ben, can I tag you in on scheduling with these two commissioners and Commissioner Frick on the follow-up there? So, thank you. Yes, so that's kind of a first step recommendation from that group is working on the educational resources. So.
Yeah. Commissioner Barrett and Commissioner
Alexander and Frick. Yep.
Right. I would agree with that. We've talked about that, the need to start education.
Right. So I will hopefully y'all can have a great chat this month and we'll start getting some of that out, especially as migration season is coming up. We're almost here, fall migration. Yes.
It's already Maryland.
Oh no. The worst time of year at Maryland. So sad.
I wish we could take the skills for that, but great. So next is the ad hoc subcommittee know that there was discussion about doing an opinion article in one of the papers.
Yes.
I know offline we talked about some of the challenges with that, considering the political climate and people that are impacted.
Correct.
And I expressed concerns about doing anything too aggressive.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's something maybe I would be happy to. I know Commissioner Cohn, you're the only representative currently present on that ad hoc today, so that may be something that it's good for us to meet offline a little bit and dig into a little bit of some of the things that we've been kind of seeing and tracking around that issue. Benito is also working on a relaunch of the rebate program that will make it easier for folks to get access to those. So we're not quite ready for prime time on that yet, but probably in the next 2 months we should have something ready. So looking to help support from a different angle that isn't quite so enforcement oriented given the current political climate around enforcement.
Obviously, I don't know about the whole city,
Mhm.
but my neighborhood is fairly quiet, and so, I don't really have input
Yeah.
in terms of it's being a super problem, you know.
I will say it's been a minute since I've heard or seen a gas leak blower, and I don't know what is causing that. I don't know if it's because we're not back in season all the way yet, but it has been a minute. So having a similar experience to you, Commissioner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so, sorry, Commissioner Cohen. Who was the other person on that?
And Commissioner Frick.
Oh.
You said you're-
And the ad hoc subcommittee or on commission outreach, that's our which is Commissioners Alexander, Boyd, and myself. And we have met and have split up the various commissions. I got it on my list to go out and meet with the commission chairs of the various commissions and work, just to kind of see what they're doing. I know Commissioner Alexander has reached out to the blue zones, so we're working to schedule a meeting with them. And so we're kind of our target is through January, kind of trying to go to the meetings, the various commissions, see what they're doing, see if there's any input that we can recommend for staff or through the commissions to improve sustainability throughout the city. The arts commission, Max mentions, incorporating shade structures and things like that. So, so we're working on that. So more about it's going to be slow roll on that. And then next, ad hoc subcommittee on pesticides and wildlife, which is Commissioner Boyd, myself, and Commissioner Frick, who was not did not attend the first meeting that we had. And don't really have notes on that. But
Yeah, I'm happy to give a short readout if that's helpful. So we had a good first meeting, and that's our for those in the room who are not part of that. That is our kind of our public-private ad hoc, where we have some members of the community, some of whom are in the room this evening, who advocate for these issues and have provided some good feedback. And we created this based on the presentation that the Palm Springs Animal Allies gave at one of our previous meetings. And so we had our first meeting of this joint group and talked through some of the high priority things that would make sense to focus on. There was some good dividing and conquering and kind of early principles of making sure that we know what the group is going to do, what kinds of things that folks are going to try to tackle. I provided a little bit of an update on what staff is going to start looking at, which is city facilities first. So where are we seeing potential issues? What are the types of issues that we experience? And are there some low to medium lift interventions that we could try that are more, planet and environment and human health friendly? in animal health funding. So so that's something that we're going to work on early on. But there was good collaboration in the meeting around aligning towards some workable, solvable things. So I think the next step will be to regroup around kind of some of the key goals for the group over the next year or so, and working backwards from there based on a set of shared principles. So that was my main summary.
And one thing that I think we discussed is next meeting.
Right. That's a good
And,
question.
they just that's thanks Peter for sending emails out to the respondents to the meeting minutes from the public.
Yep, that makes sense. The calendar.
For subcommittees. So next on the list is your report.
Sure. Hey everybody. So you're looking at the I'm trying to think of the right analogy here. The minimalist version of the sustainability department. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. There is a date on these little lovely notes that I will share. That was shared by the group. Sorry, blanked. Yes, thank you. Okay, great. We did set that date in the meeting. Thank you. Yeah, I was just like, why did we do that? But I was like, no, we did. But maybe we didn't. But yes, no, you're good. No. You're all good. I have them in some other notebook, as you can see. This one is new. Okay, so you are seeing a mini version, sustainability 50%, though 100% is Mikey, mostly as long as you consider only Benito and not me. So we're getting there. So thanks everybody for your patience while I've been in and out a little bit over the past couple of weeks. So a couple of things we just wanted to report out on and some priorities coming up. We do have two main priorities that are on the agenda, so we won't get into those too deeply until we get to those agenda items, which is trees and buildings. I'm blue in the face about these topics. You will continue to hear me talk about them. So a couple things. We will have the active transportation folks. This is a group of local transportation advocates who have been working with the city for a number of years, who would like to give a presentation to the group, probably at our next meeting, to talk about some of the concerns and things that they're seeing as active transporters. And I know that mirrors a lot of the thoughts that many of the people in this room have had as well. So I think it should be a pretty generative conversation that will set us up for some type of future collaborative work should the commission choose to do so. Couple of other things. So Benito has been bumped up to a acting specialist role. So kudos to Ben because he has been taking on the waste portfolio and also some of Christian's transportation work as well. So just some personnel news there. And we are actively working on backfilling for the roles on the team. So hopefully we'll be able to get someone in place before the end of the year, which will be great. We've got approval to do that, and we're rocking and rolling. We are still churning through our different grant processes, so getting ready to issue the RFP for the heat and shade study. So that will be coming up in the next few months, which is very exciting. Commissioners will also probably note that the convention center is gearing up to really begin on their planning processes. So they will be seeking technical support for their streetscape work. So that's sort of shade, walkability analysis, etc. for the convention center. So I believe that RFP is currently open, and soon we'll have somebody on board to really focus on that, which will be very exciting. That's a cool thing that's happening. Some other things that you might be tracking, the zoning code process. We'll be having another open house here relatively soon, talking about a focus on density and height and the ways in which we think our city will be consolidating and growing in future years. I want to say that is November 9th, but I always get 6s and 9s mixed up, so it might be 6th. Don't quote me on the 9th. That 9th wouldn't make any sense. That's a weird date. So it's probably the 6th. But I will double check that date if anyone is interested. In terms of active transportation, so some of you may remember that we as a group have been discussing some road reconfigurations being led by the engineering department. So there are two projects, one on South Palm Canyon Drive going down toward the Indian Canyons, and one on Racket Club. And so there had been some additional concerns raised on Racket Club due to some potential traffic flow implications. So we had an additional community meeting last month. That project is going to the city council tomorrow because the council has to approve accepting grant funding from Riverside County in order to do the project, which basically means that's like we've agreed that we're gonna do the project as scoped through the community meetings. So if anyone is particularly interested in that issue, that will be going in front of the council on tomorrow, Wednesday. Which is like, I was gonna say Thursday, but we don't do it on Thursday anymore. It's going tomorrow. I believe all of the city departments are aligned in support of that project, and we're looking forward to seeing those safety improvements on that street, which will be great. And then I think those are kind of the main upcoming issues and things that we've been tracking over the last month. Just working on planning for a number of the things that we've talked about, and I'm sending some updates to the council on, just waste, getting ready to potentially do more enforcement next year. We'll talk about that a little bit more, I think, probably at the next meeting in our memo. Just so we want to make sure that folks are prepared if they start getting fines for not following state law. So we will potentially be doing that. And then also we'll have the Desert Water folks in soon to talk about the non-functional turf rules, which I know are really impacting a lot of HOAs in particular in their planning, and the upcoming conservation as a way of life broader rule set. So that's a number of different things that we've discussed. Ben, actually, would you like to take a moment to talk about shredding? And give a quick report on that.
Of course, there's not much to say besides it was fantastic. Thanks to all the help and volunteers that we had. Thank you very much for your volunteers as well. I had Commissioner Rodner and from there helping. And Barrett came. So everybody actually showed up. It was, I think, the easiest one we've done.
That's great.
It means setting up and tearing down. It went pretty good. I think we had one person complain from everything. I don't know how many tons we did, but I think she mentioned less than 5 or something. Not, and that's not,
She didn't have all of them.
yeah, that's not counting the 24 or 27 bids. It was pretty ready. So it was very good. I already have confirmation for the shredding event on January 10th as well. So any volunteers, feel free to reach out to me, please.
Yes, and we have now confirmed the right number of staff, which is a lot more than we thought. So we will be making sure that Benito is appropriately staffed with volunteers and staff support for future shredding events. So thank you all for your support on the event.
So just real quick,
Did we have enough this time?
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like we had enough this time, but this might be the first time that we had enough. Yeah.
Perfect amount this time.
so 6.3 tons of paper, just from.
Just from that paper. That's not including the 24, 27 bids of pre-shredding.
And also, I was directing traffic out, and everybody was saying how smooth it was. And thank you very much. But people are very grateful for this event. What they do with all the paper.
It's a really good question.
So, and the large, you see the people
bulk
with the
items.
large items, they cycle.
That's true.
You start to get to know that.
Yeah.
You see me on these Christmas cards.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so a lot of thank yous for that, so I appreciate that, good job. And the conservation corps volunteers.
Yes, those were
Climates.
Yeah,
those were
nice people and very helpful. So appreciate those coming. Anyhow.
That's not, it's Esperanza Second Chance Sanctuary from Sky Valley. They received 4 climate action fellows
Oh, great.
to serve on their property for a whole year.
That's awesome.
So they are learning from animal care to conservation.
Yes, very smart, interested, driven people. I was really impressed with them, so.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. That's early. That's what time it starts. So, yes, it's great.
So thank you for that as well. So,
I think Commissioner Barrett also had
No,
it.
it's just the, I want to say volunteers, but that's probably not right, from engineering.
Oh, yeah, great. Yes, we'll pass that along too. Yes, we were very grateful for our sister department lending staff as well.
Yes, they were helpful, easy to work with, and handle things.
Awesome. That's great.
That's actually now the high school chief in the guide people to exit. And easier.
Potentially.
Yeah, at my level,
Yeah.
it takes a lot from the volunteers to give them an opportunity to get what city is doing.
Yeah, true. And they can get service hours that they need from that. Interesting idea. Benita, was there anything else that you wanted to share? Oh, community garden signups or renewals are closing? Do you want to share
Yes,
that?
so the deadlines off the top of my head, I don't know.
November 3rd for payment, and
Third for payment for, if you confirm by the 27th and let me know that you will be, coming to make payment for your community plot by the third, November 3rd, I will, the payment if not, so I can go ahead and let someone else, because we do have a waiting list. And a lot of people interested.
so if anybody's interested in a plot, let Ben know so that you can get on the waiting list. Okay, and I think that's it from us. Any other questions or comments that folks have for us?
At the community garden, I think when we are talking about like pesticides and everything, that's also more.
Sure.
City this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a good place for us to try some owl poles.
Goals or other ways to manage gophers because that was the issue.
Right.
We were used to like those plots have to get done by some kind of gophers.
The cults.
Yes, they do tend to proliferate. So yeah, that's good. That's a good call. And that's a nice space that is easy for us to implement interventions in.
Maybe figure out that.
I would just take it home. I can't help it. Gotcha. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, great. Thank you.
So on to old business energy efficiency ordinance.
Yes. Okay. So this is going to be not long, but also maybe not that short. This is just kind of to prepare folks for the fact that this will be coming back to you all in November for more of a discussion and another chance to read a beautiful ordinance. I know how much you love to read beautiful ordinance. You're going to get to read beautiful ordinance once again. So over the past roughly year now almost, we have been working on addressing a lot of the feedback and concerns that came from this group and that also came from our stakeholders. So whether that's local builders, from the tribe, from neighborhoods when we talk to 1PS, because there's a lot of confusion, both because it's a complicated space. It's also a complicated proposal, and there's a lot of concern. There are a lot of, tariffs and economic challenges and a number of different things that we've been working to try to figure out how does this need to get our buildings to be more energy efficient and resilient square with the best way for us to actually do that. So as you all know, one of the kind of main pivots that we've implemented is also requesting and receiving funding from the city council in order to just do the work ourselves. So at a certain point, if we want to see the work get done, there's two different ways that we can do it. We can require that people do it, or we can do it ourselves. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing is doing it ourselves. So we're working with the housing department currently to prepare to launch that program. I'm guessing it will go live sometime in Q1 of 2026. And so that is a couple $100,000 in order to do direct install programs. Some of that is it's all going to be in low income housing. We're going to look at a mix of single family owner occupied, tenant occupied, and small multifamily as well. We're going to see how far we can stretch our money, use it as money that other money can be stacked on top of that's less flexible for other programs. Because, for example, there's a number of different weatherization programs that exist in the region, but they're not as flexible as this money might be able to be because they might have very specific grant requirements. They might only be able to do HVAC systems, or maybe they can only do life safety upgrades, whereas we can then push that additional floor insulation that maybe wasn't a life safety issue, but maybe will save money for the person who's living in the home. So we're working on defining the criteria for those programs. Desert Community Energy also allocated several $100,000, I believe it's $500,000, to align with REACH code related work in the city of Palm Springs, and that's going to come out in two ways. So one of those ways is putting some funding support into our low income program. So they'll probably look at very specific types of infrastructure or equipment they might want to fund. That might be a battery, it might be like a more of an appliance type thing, because utilities tend to play in that space a little bit more than necessarily roof insulation, not necessarily something you call your electric company to fix your roof insulation. So we're going to figure out how that best fits in. And then also it looks likely that they'll offer some kind of just more direct rebate. So if anybody wants to almost pre-adopt the REACH code, for example, so if you want to come in and say, hey, I'm willing to do this additional measure, I'm willing to add this cool roof, I'm willing to blah, blah, blah. Before the REACH code goes into effect, we want to have some incentive dollars available to try to push that work so we can start getting our building folks, used to inspecting it. We can start getting our contractor community ready for this type of work. So we're looking at this kind of like incentivized optional approach first before any kind of REACH code would actually go into effect. Now, I'll pause there briefly to see if there are any questions about the doing it ourselves approaches. Yes, Commissioner.
I'm just curious, is there like a scope of work? Or
We are in progress. Yeah.
Like, I think that would be interesting to see.
Yes, definitely.
What the intent is, I guess.
Sure.
Of how that might come to being. So, because you mentioned this before, and I thought about low-income housing, other people that own, people that are in single-family residence or condo or home park. I mean, there's a light, right?
Exactly.
So,
lots of different
and
cases.
just how, like, all the options that are really cost effective.
Yep.
I know personally, just looking at upgrading to an all electric is really expensive.
Right.
So doing smaller things, just making sure that all things are considered, I guess.
Right.
And then a timeline. I mean, do you kind of have a timeline how you want to kind of target to launch?
Roughly. So we are currently working on developing the scope of work because one of the key decision points is like, do you do a little bit of work in a lot of houses or a lot of work in a little bit of house? So that's one of the things that we're looking at a little bit. So do we kind of go soup to nuts on 10 houses or do we do window upgrades in 60? And then just kind of like trying to get some comps and some general sense for what has worked well in other places. And it also kind of will determine our contractor partnership pathway a little bit. We also have been working with our GIS department who developed us a really interesting like decision support tool that helps us target the kinds of properties that might be eligible for this kind of work. So they haven't gotten a building permit in a while and they're built within these certain age ranges and we know, different things about the building type and who might live there based on our demographic data. So that's been really fun. It's like it just like spits out like this house needs help. It's great. But I love computers. But basically, yeah, just like please go to 123 Main Street. So I imagine that hopefully I'll have something to bring to the November climate action subcommittee on this, if not the December one, for some additional feedback and some direction from the group on what might make sense, and because we want to make sure it's legible, sounds useful, etc. Commissioner, yes, Commissioner.
I might have missed it. Were mobile homes and trailer parks involved?
Mobile homes. So mobile home parks can be involved in the in our program that we're doing. They're not going to be required to comply with the ordinance because of how buildings are regulated in California. But we are considering how we can best serve mobile homes as part of our low income program. There also is additional funding from the county for doing home upgrades to mobile homes that we're hoping to also maybe channel for this. Definitely. Yeah, we know that there's a lot of opportunity for energy efficiency upgrades there for sure. So we are hoping to design, or the plan is to design a program that will also accommodate mobile homes. The downside continues to be the more home types you do, the less economies of scale you get, but we know that is where a lot of the greatest need is in the city, in terms of energy resiliency and better thermal comfort and all of those things. And the things that will help people make their bills more stable and predictable as well. So we're looking at that too.
Okay.
Any other questions on those approaches? I know Desert Community Energy also has something cool that they're working on for small businesses as well. I don't know if they've mentioned that super publicly yet at the meetings.
We have Commissioner Barrett and I run the community.
Does a commissioner?
Yeah, they haven't had a meeting in a while.
Okay.
It was one of the last board meetings.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I tried.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, there will be something cool, but I'm not going to make the news about it.
Yeah.
So it's not my news to make. So sorry, Kendall. You will have to talk to Lisa and Zebug about that, but I cannot. I would like to say. Okay. So back to the ordinance then briefly. So the ordinance that you will see will look pretty similar, but will have some key interesting differences. So one of the key interesting differences, you all will probably remember from when the commission wrote a letter There was a lot of talk about like, is the state going to ban reach codes? Turns out they kind of did, but also kind of didn't. Like, not really. But they added loopholes that actually make it very, very easy for us to continue to do the work that we want to do, which is great news. So the loophole that was added in the bill that pauses updates, certain types of updates to the 3-year code cycle, and other codes and interventions, basically says that if you have a general plan, and it doesn't even write general plan in the standard state legislation way, but we'll read that as like the official general plan that we have, that states a commitment to implementing certain types of climate actions, then you can continue to do those through your code. And we just thought, we were like, oh great, I'm sure our general plan says something like, you should investigate making buildings better. And like, that would probably be enough. And we're like, awesome. But no, when you go into our general plan, it says like, will implement energy efficiency reach code for existing building renovation. Like, it's so specific. So I'm just like, thank you, David Newell, former assistant director of planning, for really putting that in there, doing us a solid. And this commission, members of the commission, not all of you were on the commission at that time, but I know Commissioner Barrett, you probably were when the general plan work was discussed. So that might have even been before you joined. So that was probably it was before I started for sure, 4 or 5 years ago, when they were working on that. So we do, under current state law, have authorization to continue to move forward on writing this code. So we didn't have to rush to meet some arbitrary deadline. We don't have to bend. We can just say, as per state law, we continue. So you will see a much longer preamble section to the ordinance, because we're trying to be very explicit about where, where we have that guidance and that clarification under state law. So there's like page number citations. There's a lot of stuff in there. You can read it if you think it's interesting, but it's not particularly material. Then the rest of it, so there are a couple of key things that we streamlined a little bit in the ordinance. Just to preview some of them, we'll talk about this more when you see it. But one of the things that we identified in our analysis is that it was kind of hard to hit the required points that you needed when you were doing a re-roof without doing systems that had nothing to do with the roof. So roofing projects can be kind of expensive, so they tended to kind of fall in that middle space on our points chart. But you're not looking at your hot water heater necessarily when you're re-roofing. Like, so there's certain things like that where we basically said, if re-roof, then cool roof. Boom. End of story. Like, so there are a couple of more prescriptive type measures that are being incorporated there. Another example of that is on kitchen and laundry room renovations, instead of subjecting those to the points, it basically says, make sure that you're electric ready at your stove or at your laundry machine. So put in that 240 volt outlet, which should remove some of the complication there. And so you'll see that when you look at the text. Those are some of the main ones, because those were the categories of permits that when we looked at them in the analysis that Juliet did, we were saying, hey, you might have to do kind of a lot of additional work in order to hit these point values. Another conversation I would like to have in the commission meeting when we bring this back is whether we want to shrink the universe of projects that this applies to. So currently it goes all the way down to a $25,000 project. We could start by just saying we're looking at the $100,000 and up projects. It's not that many projects every year, but those are your real gut renovations, the things that are touching a lot of different building systems, or the somebody bought an $80,000 door kind of thing, which kind of implies to me that maybe they'd be willing to look at other systems in their home. But I don't know how much doors cost, so I don't know. But so we could potentially shrink the universe of projects that we start with, and then kind of like grow it over time. The downside there is that's just fewer projects that are captured in a given year. So we can look at it together. I'll facilitate through some kind of question quiz that we'll have, and we'll make sure that that's sent out in enough time for folks to be able to really get a good read on it. Before we bring it back to the commission, I've got to talk to some stakeholder groups. So that is the tribe and Desert Valley Builders and some other folks who have expressed a lot of interest in this. So that's why you have everything in front of you today, because I want to get it around to a couple other internal folks and a couple of external folks as well. So it will be functionally quite similar to what you've already approved, but with some key differences that I think will speak to some of the concerns that I know the group had. We talked about this before, and now we have money to support people who are looking to do some of this work. So that's where that currently sits. What questions do folks have? Everyone take a break. Everyone take a breather, myself included. Going to have a little sip while folks think about their questions. Yes, Jim.
I had regarding the dollar. Are you aware of any other cities that are doing something similar? And kind of make just off the cuff without having seen anything.
Mhm.
May make sense.
So, yes, so some cities are they're determining the number of points by the value of the project. Other cities are doing it based on the square footage of the project or the square footage of the applicable area. And so this is something that's an interesting tension question. Dollar amounts also can be kind of subjective. Like, when they're submitted on the permit, it might be so early that you don't actually know how much it's going to cost, or there isn't not necessarily a lot of validation of whether that is an accurate cost figure. So and we noticed this when we were doing our research. You just get wildly varying prices, which I think is an issue just in the contractor space in general too. Like when you're planning a project, you don't know if the same project is going to cost you $12K or 25 or 80. Like it could be anything. So it's a little bit iffy, but the reason that we're currently sticking with that metric is because if you do it just based on the sheer square footage, then that means your $100,000 window upgrade is going to be required to do the same amount of work as your $10,000 window upgrade. And so that sometimes has equity implications a little bit there too, in terms of who or how people are paying for projects and where that burden falls. So that's why we've been recommended from our legal analysis, and we've also landed there still. Most other cities who are doing a dollar amount basis do have pretty similar to where we are sitting on the points. We also, I believe, have added in a sort of like a cost overrun riser that other cities also have, which is if adding the points adds more than, I believe, 25% of the cost of the project, then you don't have to do anything beyond that. But I don't remember exactly what we landed with that percentage. That's another metric we can tune. San Luis Obispo. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they do a very similar thing that they've passed through their council. Yep. Mill Valley also just implemented one for what it's worth. Yes.
My main concern, this sounds like a very intense reading exercise.
Yes, and get plenty of time.
I appreciate that we get it very early.
Yes.
And it would be, I think, helpful if we could find some way to talk about it.
Yes,
As
sure.
we're going through the process. I mean, it's a little bit difficult as commissioners are not supposed to
Right.
share stuff. But,
Sure.
well, we can share individually, but not around.
Right. We want to be very careful that we're not having a chain meeting.
Right, so maybe we need a few notes about that, so that we can work with each other to try to get through this, and I can say, Kathy, would you look at this part, something like that.
That's an interesting question, and I agree with you that it sounds like something that would likely be helpful.
Right.
And I'm not immediately sure how to, in a parliamentary sense, accomplish said goal. But maybe let me take that offline and talk with our clerk's office folks. Maybe they have a suggestion.
Right.
I mean, we do have the climate action subcommittee meeting, which will be in the second week of November, but we already have 3 commissioners on that. We could have one additional commissioner pop in for that. That's another, or commissioners can listen in and not participate if they have questions on that. But I'm almost wondering if I can set up like a reading group Zoom, like if anybody wants to join in, you guys can do it or something. I don't know, but let me talk to the clerk's office and see if there's any ideas there.
Because it's I remember going through some
Right.
of this before, and it's very complicated.
It's a little dense.
It's really hard to make all those decisions.
Right, sure. And also, I'm available for sure if folks have questions as you're reading it. We can also compile
There's so many of you.
exactly. So infinite me and infinite all of us. I can also compile feedback and questions from commissioners and centralize those, and then I can create sort of like a document that gets sent out and posted publicly of the Q&A. I can do that as well. That's what we do kind of for like RFPs, for example. So because we can't have, group, like people have to submit their questions to us and then we basically post online the answers to the questions. So I'm happy to do that as well. If folks have those, I can share out the answers to anybody's questions. That I can definitely do. That's easy. But otherwise, I will also check with the clerk's office and see if they have any thoughts on how to do that. Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
Is there need such thing as a study session?
We could do a study session. We have done these before, so we could schedule one of those if that would be helpful. It would have to be a noticed meeting, but I think that I'm not opposed to doing that. We can always have an extra meeting, so we can look at that.
You still need to read it.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But I would say what would be helpful is if you're interested in doing a study session, in it, like if you're not already on climate action and you want to do a study session, please let me and Ben know so we can track how many people are interested in that. Because if it's only 4 people, then we'll just figure out how to make climate action a study session. But if everybody's interested, then we'll do a study session. I imagine that more than 4 people will be interested, but I just want to make sure. Great. Okay. That is all I have on this topic.
That's great. See us move forward.
Yes.
Then what will-
Yeah. So I actually don't have that much to update because we voted on it last time. So thanks. Cool. So
I guess my
Mhm.
question, I guess, was, were we trying to get that onto the agenda with council?
right. Yes. So that's what we're currently working on. So I do have the small updates around that. So currently, the October meeting was very, very full because we only had one October meeting. Traditionally, we would have had 2, but we only have 1, so there wasn't room on October. So we're tracking it to go forward for the November meeting. That is on November 12th, I think. Is that right? One of those kind of days. It's like the week before our next commission meeting, I believe. And I am pitching this as a feel-good win for everyone. So hoping that will go forward at that meeting. I will let the commission know when that is scheduled, and y'all can decide who wants to come and say we also liked it. We will have a really snazzy tree website also that's going to be going live around the same time. That also the same Megan, our GIS wizard, who made the tool that tells me which house needs help. She also worked with Christian and our city arborist firm to make a beautiful website that I was going to pull up for you, but I forgot my password, so I can't. But it shows the city's current public tree inventory. It shows a lot of really interesting data on how trees have changed over time. You can find out more about the species we have, more about the value of the trees that we have in our ecosystem. You'll also be able to submit your own private trees, mostly just for information purposes for us, so we can say how many of these kind of trees exist in the city, or where do we have concentrations of trees in certain areas that, so maybe we don't need to focus on this neighborhood so much, but we really don't have that many private trees in this area. So just helping us get more data that we don't have. There are also some high-level resources around. We'll have the recommended species list, but also there's a really nice tool from the CSU, Cal State University system, that helps you identify trees that fit well for your conditions. So that's cool. We've got that linked there. Also, one of my favorite website URLs, treesaregood.org, which is the certified arborist directory. So a good place to find certified arborists. And then we'll have our tree, the tree guide that you all have also seen as well. That will be linked there too. So we'll have some great resources that will probably roll out in advance of the meeting. So we'll share that with you all whenever it's ready. So you can take a look, maybe add some trees, let us know what you've got around there. So the plan there is for that to go for November, which I believe there's also only one meeting in November as well.
Yeah.
So Thanksgiving, yep. That's it. Anybody else have any tree questions? Great.
That's great. Dave, I look forward to seeing that.
I can show it to you really quick.
Oh,
Sample.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Thank you. Awesome, thank you. And Kendall, we will be sending you a little preview of this pretty soon. Ah, yes. Do you want to give us a little tour?
You go very slow. Love the color scheme. That's my favorite part. It's a lot brighter.
I know it looks so bright on the screen. It's actually quite muted on the. Yeah. Yes. It's a lovely sage.
It's not so bright in your face.
That 13,000 city tree.
Yes.
Mhm.
Or city managed trees, I would say. Mostly owned, but sometimes there's a gray area between whose tree.
These include the ones that are in the sidewalks.
Correct. As long as they're in the city right away.
How did that data come into existence?
We count them. The arborists go out and count them, and they measure them, and they see what the. So they basically do that every time they touch a tree for any reason. So for trimming or health inspection or something like that, they update their data source, and that's what we're pulling from. that canopy cover thing sometimes takes a minute to load.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some interesting data here around the change in canopy cover. This is developed, this is using satellite imagery to develop this. We have some questions about the data sourcing. So it might be, you know, one of the images was taken in the winter and one in the summer, or one around, so because there's a lot of red there that I'd like to get just some more additional data on, because I think it's a data sourcing issue more than a massive canopy loss issue, but I want to get some more data before
It'd be fun
we go live.
if we could do, once it's launched,
Mhm.
and final markets, give us
Yes.
a detailed thing through.
Yeah.
Allocate as a presentation.
Sure. Yeah.
I worked with, in Ireland, some school kids, and they had an app. You would go to photo tree,
Mm.
measure the diameter,
Yeah.
and you could blow up the type of tree. And they were building something similar
Cool.
to this, but also using it as an educational format.
Sure, that's great. And we do have like a little form that you'll be able to click on here, which asks you to like upload a photo and like do kind of like a basic version of that.
Could you go back a little bit? Ben? It's a tree called a filibuster.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's all.
Uh-huh. Yes, the filibuster hybrid fan palm.
Okay, that was all.
It's a really funny little tree.
Keeps growing.
Yeah, it never stops.
These are today.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Great to see that. That's launched.
Yeah, that's something that Christian and Megan worked really hard on together. So I'm excited when that will go live. Thanks for the tour.
Review. Anybody have any other comments or questions on the tree ordinance? That's great. Those are great updates. So new business, I didn't have anything listed.
No.
Now's our commissioner comments and oops, do it again. November agenda items. Yeah.
Yes, November.
So commissioners have 2 minutes. Should we start with Mr. Roman?
Blue zones.
Mhm.
I would like to see a presentation because I know many of our commissioners and the community members are involved with different projects with blue zones, and hearing from them what they are trying to do in the city as a sustainability commission. Will give us more ideas to collaborate on issues.
I can just add that we are planning on meeting with blue zones. Maybe we can talk about that once after. We meet as Commissioner Alexander and I are doing that, so that we could tie it.
So nothing.
Commissioner Barrett?
I have been mentioning this in Skyward. I would like us to find some way, or I'd like to come up with some way to be more present at 1PS meetings.
Okay.
We're too often at the end, us and our related people. Maybe there's a way to work with some other people who present earlier to get us included earlier. I don't know where that question goes.
Yeah.
You understand?
Well, yeah, I think so. We'll talk about it, and we'll talk to Denise as well. I know that's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just talk. When I go on PS board and
Yeah.
have something we go on the agenda, we should try. And that didn't work.
Well,
The- we-
my voice didn't do it.
We come after some very popular topics.
Yes.
So trying to think of different ways to maybe not every month they need us to come after those very popular topics, but maybe on some months.
Yeah, you could rotate,
Right.
but as a suggestion.
And tag on to one that is sort of relevant.
Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, tagging on to something that the city manager's talking about.
We'll think
For
on that more. Yeah, it makes sense. I know we've both experienced the end of the meeting conundrum when the cookies are gone and everyone wants to go home. So
Right.
yes.
Like, one of the challenges, they go over a lot.
A lot of stuff. Yeah. Pretty packed.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
To
Yeah. I see you same and I will.
you know, when you look at the number of departments that you have to interact with to do all this, engineering, planning, all of those code enforcement, all those sort of things. There was a 15-minute code enforcement presentation, maybe longer. And so, you know, if you could, I think of how we could make it a composite kind of presentation and see, demonstrate how much that there's interconnection between the commissions and between the departments, because people think everybody's on their own.
Sure.
They are people outside.
Makes sense. Okay. We'll scheme on that. We'll talk to Denise to get a preview of who's coming up as well, so we can think about how to do that. Okay. Thank you.
Just one thought to say is with the tree, like we've got two big things that are coming out of the building, code and the tree ordinance, utilizing that as I'm not involved in MPS anymore, but if it's something that's big that has an impact on the city, I think that's a good way to maybe try to push the agenda a little.
Reminds me that we need to take the tree ordinance to one piece. We have they've seen an earlier conversation about it. We should did a presentation about
Or pesticides.
Right.
If we do something.
This presentation.
Yeah. I mean, that would be useful.
Yeah, right.
And getting sharing with the neighbors to get their
right. A tree-a-thon.
A tree competition.
Nope. I would like to see your competition among the commissioners. Very good.
Trees not so.
I think you're bad.
Yes. All right. I like to see it. I love this energy. Okay, great. Yeah. So maybe when we talk tomorrow, let's think about getting on with this for them. I wrote on my list too. Okay. Was that everything? Okay. Okay. And then Commissioner Boyd, if you are still awake.
Yes.
I am still awake. Yes. You've done a great job.
Cool. Anything that you would like to add? Sorry, go ahead.
Nothing actually for me, but thanks everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate you.
You have a great day.
Okay.
With that, let's move to adjourn. The next meeting, November 18th. Do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting? Second. So it's adjourned until November 18th. Did I get that right?
Yes.
25 at 5.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Kendall. Thank you, Matthew.
Thanks everybody. Ciao.
Have a good
Happy day.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Cool. Well said. Thank you all. Nice to see you as always. And thank you for this. She did, yeah. I was out for like a week and a half, so I'm a little bit behind on stuff. So, thank you. Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, cool. Awesome. This is beautiful. Thank you so much.
For this meeting.
Yes, they're meeting.
Yes, thank you.
Do you want to just have these?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Linda took that on as an action, so she'll send those.